There are literally more and more people in the White House testing positive every day. It is hard to keep track of, but here's what we've got as of right now. The president has COVID-19, as does the First Lady, Melania Trump. Presidential advisor Hope Hicks has COVID. Also, White House official Stephen Miller. That's new tonight. Also, the press secretary, Kayleigh McEnany, plus a whole bunch of people in her office. McEnany's principal deputy, Chad Gilmartin, has COVID, as do 3 other assistants in McEnany's office. Caroline Levitt, Jalen Drummond, another person who works in that office who they're not yet naming. That makes 5 people with COVID in the White House press shop alone. I'm not sure how many more people there are in the White House press shop. That might be it. The RNC chair, Ronna Romney McDaniel, also has COVID. Former White House senior advisor and Trump campaign manager Kellyanne Conway is positive. Her teenage daughter, Claudia, is now positive as well. Another Trump campaign manager, the 2020 campaign manager, Bill Stepien, has COVID now as well. You might remember before joining the Trump White House, what Bill Stepien was famous for was his role in the Bridgegate scandal under then New Jersey Governor Chris Christie. Well, Chris Christie is himself now positive as well. He was involved in the president's debate prep sessions last week. 3 Republican senators have COVID now. Senator Mike Lee of Utah, Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, Tom Tillis of North Carolina, who's up for re-election in a race that is going to be no cakewalk, COVID or not. He's running against Democratic contender Cal Cunningham in North Carolina. Another White House staffer, a young man who worked as the president's body man, a man named Nick Luna, has also tested positive for COVID, as has a military valet who is not being named, but who reportedly was in direct contact with the president. Bloomberg News has named another specific military valet, a female military valet, who that news organization says is also positive. But NBC News has not confirmed that reporting from Bloomberg News. Other people who have attended White House events in recent days or participated in travel with the president in recent days have also tested positive, including the president of the University of Notre Dame, John Jenkins, also the pastor of the Harvest Church in Southern California, who attended a White House event this past week, but also attended a big, mostly mask-free, no social distancing prayer march with Vice President Pence on Saturday. Also, New York Times White House reporter Michael Shear, he has now tested positive. He has told Axios today that his wife has now tested positive as well. The White House Correspondents Association also says there are 2 other White House journalists who have tested positive besides Mike Shear from the Times.